Hey and welcome to a champion spotlight. It's been a long time since we've made a video in this series. It's been 3 months. And it's simply been because Riot, they haven't uploaded a page like this for a while for their new champions slash reworks. But now they've actually made one, so now we're going to take a look at the Mordekaiser update slash rework. First up, they do have a video, but I'm going to read through all of the different abilities, the passive as well, and then we're going to talk a bit about that. So first up, let's mention that Mordekaiser, he has seen, I'm pretty sure, a update play-wise, ability-wise in the past, where he got like, well, I know for a fact at least that his ult got changed, right, so you got a ghost out of it. I can't remember if other abilities were changed, but now they're reworking him, and I feel like it's okay because his old kit was very outdated. It wasn't very good. It was very much a kit that resembled the olden days and the first days of League of Legends. It simply wasn't up to par with how you play the game nowadays, and it certainly didn't really help you as a Mordekaiser. It didn't benefit you in any way. The only time it was really or he was good in any capacity would be when you needed a bully. That's the only time you would pick Mordekaiser. If you needed a bully against someone who could snowball, or just if you needed to shut someone down very hard. For example, when we saw Mordekaiser in the bottom lane against AD carries. But it's getting a rework. His passive is called Darkness Rise. So Mordekaiser's basic attacks deal bonus magic damage after 3 spells or attacks against the champion. Darkness Rise deals damage to nearby enemies and gives movement speed until Mordekaiser is out of combat. So one thing that's been a big problem with Mordekaiser since forever was the fact that he doesn't really have any movement speed, and there's no way that he can close the gap against enemies. So I feel like that was probably a big part of what they needed to change. There we go. A big part of what they needed to change coming in as Riot, because it just meant that it was no fun playing Mordekaiser if you couldn't catch your enemies and all you had to do was try and get some flanks. It essentially boiled you down to being a bruiser, and I don't see that as being very healthy for the game. So I like this change where it gives you movement speed, and it's not like it's probably not going to be incredibly overpowered, the amount of movement speed that you get, but still, just having that bit of movement speed while you're in combat will help you a lot at being able to catch your opponents, and I like this change. Though, I'm going to be wary of this one. I don't think he necessarily needs damage to nearby enemies. I feel like Mordekaiser's his playstyle has always been about obliterating one player. It's always been about bursting one guy down and not dealing damage to multiple people at once. And once we get to the ult, you're also going to see what I mean, or what I somewhat feel like coming in with the 1v1 aspect of, or the dueling aspect of Mordekaiser. But his Q, Obliterate, is somewhat like the same Q. He slams his mace down, he deals damage in an area, or bonus damage to a single enemy. Like his old Q, it's basically a point and click ability, and you now also have the opportunity to do AoE damage, but bonus damage to a single enemy. So again, you're still a bully, but you have the opportunity to deal more damage in an area, and I feel like that's okay because that was his old Q as well, and you need to have that in order to be able to wave clear. So that's not a problem, though. I don't necessarily think that dealing bonus damage to a single enemy is healthy for Mordekaiser, considering that you do have your passive, which will deal extra damage. But then again, it's his only damage ability, more or less. So I think they can somewhat get away with putting the bonus damage to a single enemy on it. His W is called Indestructible. The evil overlord absorbs 25% of damage taken and damage dealt. Casting once generates a shield with this value. Mordekaiser can cast again to consume 50% of the shield for health. So like his old W, and I can't remember exactly what his old W did. We can check that out real quick. Nope, not the rework. So we just go to like Mordekaiser here. Right. His old W, I can't remember if it gave him health. So there we go. Harvest or Sorrow. Okay, so that's movement speed, and that's been moved to his passive now. Okay, so yeah, that gave him health. Now, this is only also going to give him a lot of health, and then absorbing 25% of damage taken and damage dealt that's quite a lot, but it all depends on for how long you're going to be absorbing this damage. So if it's like a spell shieldy kind of thing where you have like a window of like 1 second, then that's not going to be that huge. If it's a window of, let's say, 4 seconds, then it's huge. So, but I do like that it's not 100% of the shield. I like it's just 50% because in situations where it's a 1v1, it's not going to be OP because of this. If it's a situation where it's a 5 versus 5 or a 3 versus 2 or whatever, you're going to be dealing a lot of damage, you're going to be absorbing a lot of damage, and this will help you turn the tide. E, Death's Grasp passive, Mordekaiser gains 25% magic penetration, and that's a buttload of magic penetration. Again, he likes to duel, so this gives him a bit more damage, but he also has to build somewhat bruiser-ish, so it helps him make up for the lack of damage that he's not gonna get through AP items. You're probably gonna see him build like a Rod of Ages and an Abyssal Mask, so you need to have a bit of extra magic pen to make up for the fact that you're not going to be building a Luden's Echo and a Void Staff and a Death Cap. Then active is a Deadly Claw drags enemies towards him, dealing damage. Basically, that's a Darius E as well. And I like this because it means that he's gonna have an easier time catching people, and that is again a huge problem with his old kit, that he just never could get close to people. He couldn't catch them at all, and he could never be relevant in a fight because he couldn't stick to people unless he used his W to gain movement speed, and even then people could get away from him fairly easily as long as they had an escape tool. R, Realm of Death. Mordekaiser banishes a single enemy champion to the Death Realm for 7-second 1v1, stealing a percentage of their core stats. If he kills his target, he consumes their soul, keeping their partial stats until the respawn. So I read a lot about this, and I'm not sure how it's gonna work, but as far as I know, Riot wanted to make a custom UI for this 1v1, so spectators could jump back and forth between the 1v1 and the team fight that people they were having. And it kind of means that they're not going to be an active part of the team fight. If he, let's say, steals an AD carry out of the team fight, he's not going to be an active part of that. And therefore, you can kind of argue that there's going to be many cons and many pros to his ult, but it's going to be very hard to see or like to follow what's happening in that 1v1. I like the idea about him consuming their soul and keeping their partial stats, but it's only until the respawn, so it's like it's not going to be big in a 1v1 in the top lane during the laning phase. If you kill someone there and you gain 20 AD and stuff like that, that's not going to mean a lot. But if you instead consume someone before you head on to a dragon fight or a baron fight or even a team fight, that's going to be a huge difference maker because they're going to be dead and you're going to be stronger. So I really like that idea about how it having a window of where it's really strong and that giving you that extra ability to become that great duelist. But there's also a video, so let's check that out.
Mordekaiser, the Iron Revenant, is
Man, his so just if you start out, like, his visual update is incredible. He looks terrifying and pumped as hell right now. And he kind of looks like, what's his name, like Sauron from the Lord of the Rings. If I met this guy on the battlefield on the Summoner's Rift, I would be scared because he looks badass.
Juggernaut back from the afterworld as the new master
Ooh,
of death.
so that must be W. Okay, so let's see. So that's his passive
Spells or
being
attacks
highlighted.
against the champion,
So that's
and
1,
visited by
2,
enemies and gives
and then 3.
Mordekaiser
Okay.
movement speed.
So that's his movement speed. Okay, so wait. Okay, so that's not what I've read. So, okay, so so he gains what, like an aura after his third auto attack. So like this is a Carver's W essentially, without max health damage or per health damage. I can't remember which one. But anyway, it's going to be like a Carver's W apparently. And as long as he's in combat, he's going to gain that extra movement speed and that bonus damage. That's going to be pretty interesting to track in a team fight, because that could be a lot of extra damage that you have to account for when you are playing against the Mordekaiser. If that is going to be up for the entire team fight. So that's this Q.
Or bonus damage to a single enemy. The evil overlord absorbs damage
Okay, wait.
in an area. Or
Okay.
bonus
Yeah, so
damage
basically
to a
it's all
single
Q.
enemy. The evil overlord absorbs damage taken and damage dealt to charge his shield. Mordekaiser can consume the shield for health.
Okay. Well, I didn't... That... Okay, so it's going to be absorbed all the time. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So basically you have a shield that's going to be generating as long as you take damage, and then you can consume it. It makes more sense this way. I thought it would be like a spell shield. I really don't think that is very specific in the way that they
And
write it
damage
out.
dealt to charge his shield.
But I like that
Mordekaiser
idea
can
more
consume
than
the
it being like a spell shieldy kind of
health.
thing.
A deadly claw drags enemies toward him, dealing damage and
So that's like a Swain E / Darius E, that kind of thing there. Okay, so they actually get pretty close to the guy.
a deadly claw drags enemies
So what happens
toward
to the
him,
minion?
dealing damage
Yeah, man.
tons of
Okay, so the further out they are, apparently
claw
or the closer they are
drags
to him, the
enemies
closer they're going to be dragged. So I think they drag like what,
dealing damage
2 Tmos or whatever it's called. Like you can see the minion is dragged to Lucian's original place, and then Lucian is dragged all the way up there. So like
enemies toward him.
it's what, like they're dragged half a claw
Dealing
when
damage
they're
and
when they're
tons of
caught in
terror.
it.
Also grants passive magic penetration.
Apparently.
Mordekaiser
Alright.
banishes a single enemy champion to the Death Realm for a gruesome 1v1. If he destroys them, he'll consume their soul, gaining partial stats until...
Jesus, that is like, this is something straight out of that hack and slash game that was that took place in what, like Tolkien's Lord of the Rings universe. Can't remember what it's called, but it's like straight out of that. Okay, but this is more interesting. So basically, they're not banished from Summoner's Rift. It's not like they're teleported out to a different area. They're still inside the same, or they're still in the same area.
Banishes a single enemy champion
And
to the Death
okay,
Realm.
so we have Carvus here, right? So like, you can also see that during Realm of Death, you can see where people are moving.
Enemy champion to the
So
Death Realm
look at my browser. This is where Carvus is.
for a gruesome 1v1.
He knows where Carvus is.
If he destroys
So you
them,
can
he'll
use this
consume
in
their
a
soul, gaining
in a 5v5,
partial
and then
stats
figure
until
out
enemies
where people are on the map. So like, if you're stuck in a shitty situation, you could be stuck with everyone up there, but at least you would know it
spawn.
coming out. So like you can position yourself so that you won't be, if you go back to the realm,
Partial stats, he'll
Death Realm, like Lucian could be running this way, but you would still be knowing that everyone is there. So as long as once you kill him, you would be behind enemy lines, so you would be in a bad situation. And I really like that touch. It at least means that you have a bailout situation.
Mordekaiser outplays opponents by turning fights when the odds are against him. punish enemies in the Death Realm, and return to obliterate the rest.
Oh man, just take a look at that. That's a really good 1v1. Like, he immediately takes 6 into the Death Realm, and 1v1s him. Like, there's not a lot you can do there. 6 can't get out. He has to survive for 7 seconds. That's very, very hard. Oh man, he looks so good. Yeah. Well, I for one am excited to see what Mordekaiser will bring out. I think he's still not going to be like the go-to pick in the mid lane. But I definitely believe that he's going to be a better bruiser and a better bully. And I could see him make a return in the top side. Simply because of that 1v1 ability. That's going to give a lot of ways that you can play team fights in pro play over to his team. So you could essentially isolate the mid laner or the AD carry in a big team fight and get away with it as a Mordekaiser. So that's going to be something that we have to look out for, but that's going to be it here for the champion spotlight. Look out for Mordekaiser's rework. He's going to perhaps become more of a top laner, a standard pick. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Remember to check out my social media links. You can find it in the description below. Let me know what you think about Mordekaiser. Is he going to be the next big thing? Will he become a bully or will he suck? Let me know and I'll see you next time.